Good morning and welcome to the live series Straight Off the Bat. Join us on Thursdays as we speak to individuals across multiple industries who will help you understand financial literacy and education. If you're joining us on Facebook, thank you so much for doing that today. Don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and today we're discussing women in technology. Our guests today are Jayme Hoyte and Rissa Frieda Stewart. Jayme is the SVP of Business Development at SmartTerm Limited. Under her leadership, SmartTerm's education management system has been implemented as a national solution in all schools across the country. And Rissa is joining us today from ANSA Bank. She is a data and reporting analyst. She's relentless about utilizing her experience in data management wizardry to contribute towards bringing the digital bank's vision to life. So let's bring in the ladies today. We're filled with estrogen. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, morning, morning.
Morning.
Morning. All right. So we're gonna get straight into it because usually on these live sessions, folks think that 60 minutes is a lot, but we usually choose people who are very passionate about what they do. So we're just gonna get straight into it, and let's talk to Jamie because within the educational sector, we want to talk about the impact of technology. So give us a little insight, Jamie, on that.
Yes, good morning again, Pauline and Rissa. And thank you so very much for having me on this program, as we continue to celebrate International Women's Day on this very important topic of women in technology. So with SmartTerm, I've been with SmartTerm for a little over 8 years or so, and I've seen how the product has grown, the quality from then till now. And, I'm really proud of the team that is driving the technology throughout schools in the Caribbean region. SmartTerm is a comprehensive education management system, and it is designed to streamline administrative tasks, enhance communication, and improve learning outcomes across the Caribbean region. In terms of the impact throughout the Caribbean, it has been tremendous thus far. And, we are proud to say that we're operating in 14 territories with St. Vincent and the Grenadines, having a full national rollout of our solution. So that's something, we are pretty proud about at SmartTerm.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work. So we're gonna get into that a little bit later.
Yeah,
But I
definitely.
want to ask Rissa a little bit about her experience because she's been at ANSA Bank, and we're shifting a little bit from education to the financial space, and we want to just ask the difficult questions. What has it been like being a woman in the tech space, in the banking sector in Trinidad and Tobago?
It has been very, oh, hi, good morning, everyone.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me. Right. So I am Rissa Fridy, and I have been at ANSA Bank in the banking sector for 3 years now. It has been very eye-opening and an eye-opening experience. I have worked in previous industries, and this has been my first time in the banking industry, and I must say it's very fast-paced. It is something that is somewhat demanding. I mean, the banking sector is a 24/7 industry.
mhm.
And yeah, I must say that while I have been at ANSA Bank as a woman, I I do feel my voice has been heard. I have been able to make some key decisions. I have been in rooms that years ago women would not have been invited to. And I must say that being in the banking industry, it really has opened my eyes.
Thank you for that, especially referencing how the space is 24/7, because a lot of folks get up in arms when things don't work,
Mhm,
but the reality
Yeah.
is we're shifting now from a traditional space to expecting
mhm.
things to work all the time, and that's
Mhm.
that's a whole other story altogether. So I want to shift over back to Jamie and talk about technology within the educational space because um, it's difficult for a lot of parents to understand what's happening while your children are basically moving along without you. You know, I have a friend, her kid is no more than 4 years old, and mommy, I want to play this song
Yeah.
by Patrice Roberts, and she's like going, she knows how to access the passcode and access YouTube and start to dance away. So when it comes to the importance of technology within the educational space, what has been your experience and why do you think it's important?
Off the bat, I would say technology in education is extremely, extremely important. Because when you look at how the economy is set up, education is deeply intertwined with, the economy and the education ecosystem. So that's like the governments, the principals, the teachers, students as well as parents are all a part of that ecosystem. And, education serves as the cornerstone for economic progress. So, it equips individuals with the skills, knowledge, that is needed to drive innovation, productivity, and sustainable growth of the economy. So, a lot of the things that we did long ago, it is not applicable within the current classroom today. We would have gone through the education system here in the Caribbean and we would have seen, it's just one teacher to 30 students. So as innovation and technology evolves, we have to move with the times. We have to be able to integrate technology within the classroom to make things a lot more efficient for principals and for teachers, as well as to bridge that gap between parents and teachers, because sometimes a lot of the time what happens in the school system is that we have the PTA meetings. Most parents in some schools don't even show up for these PTA meetings, but if you have technology that can really push notifications and send information directly to the parents phone or directly to the parents email, you'd find a lot more engagement coming from the parents. And one of the reasons that technology is so important and why we decide, to take a lifelong journey on this path is because when you look at education, there's a lack of personalized learning. Also there's a lack of data and decision making. So what we are able to do with the technology is provide governments with a platform or dashboard with the relevant information that they can have in real time. So like now, governments in the Caribbean are taking like 18 months to compile that data. We're saying, no, you need this information in real time to make education related decisions. And, there's just a lack of innovation within the classroom. We would go to school from 8 a.m. and come home at 2 p.m., 2:30, thereabouts, and the learning kind of stops. Sometimes teacher issue homework or there's no homework, but the only time you really back to that teacher is at 8 a.m., the next day. With a platform, with technology, students can go in, they can learn different things. There's resources, the teachers can put work there for within the platform for the student, and it's a continuous learning. And again, parents are loving the system as well because they can get involved as well.
Wow, that sounds I have a little feedback there. It sounds great for parents, especially when you have to sit out in 2 hours of traffic. It's very difficult, and you have all these things to manage. And
Yeah.
I want to shift over to Rissa to have shift in the conversation about why it's important for women to be part of those decisions, because you mentioned earlier you've been able to sit down in rooms where previously before, let's be honest, we only got to be able to vote. Our parents know what it was like back then. So at the end of the day, why do you think, Rissa, it's important to have women in these rooms to be part of the decision making?
I think it's important because generally women bring a completely different perspective to things.
Yeah.
Women have had different experiences from men in the working sector. Well, in the work in just in work in general. I do believe that we women know how to balance many things on their plate. And I do believe that once we are in these rooms, and it's important also that once we're in those rooms, that other women can see us, and that will empower them, which is what this whole thing is about. And it gives young girls an opportunity to see us, to see, okay, I'm seeing this person in this room making these decisions, contributing to this meeting, contributing to these ideas, and their voice is being heard. These ideas are being come to pass, right, are being implemented. So then maybe I can do it also. So I think it really is important that the doors are open to us, because then it helps all the young girls that are coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I definitely agree because I think being able to even just looking on TV and entertainment and see someone that
Mhm.
looks like me who has my hair
Yeah.
is doing something that
Representation. Hmm.
exactly
Hmm.
because a lot of times it's unfortunate that our parents didn't have certain opportunities. So now I can say, okay, there is a future in tech um, for for me or anybody else. So when it comes to uh, sort of, I guess, looking at careers, and we have folks who may be in school, and this idea of software and being in tech feels far removed a lot of the times. Like I had a friend, he has a Trinidad, and he was telling him, "Oh, just go do manufacturing. This tech thing is eventually going to die out."
Hmm.
Thankfully, he didn't listen to him, and he is a software engineer right now. But in
Right.
terms of advice to parents,
Hmm.
specifically who have, girls, what advice would you give to them when it comes to this tech space?
I will tell them to, one, throw themselves in all different aspects of tech, experience all the different areas, if it is networking, data management, application development, experience all the different areas in tech. And then at the end of it, decide which one you have a passion for and then pursue it. I do believe that it's also very important to have a mentor, to have someone that you can look up to be able to guide you and have the difficult conversations and get advice from them, and also to network, attend conferences, attend different training sessions,
Mhm.
because when you go to these conferences, you network, you meet different people from all different aspects, and they can guide you along the path. So yeah.
Yeah, if I can add to that as well, Pauline, everything Rissa said times two. And, I would say be an advocate for yourself.
Mhm.
Be able to speak up in rooms, don't let your voice
Mhm.
quiver. Don't be afraid to negotiate the hard topics and have the hard discussions,
Mhm.
your compensation, your
Mhm.
promotions, accept challenging projects that will align with your goals as well. So, just being, you know, that advocate for yourself in the rooms that you're sitting in, at the tables you're sitting at, can go a very, very long way.
Mhm. Agreed.
Thank you for that. And it's I think it's important to have events like these online so we can say, okay,
Yeah,
this
definitely.
is an action opportunity for you to explore and look at because a lot of the times you don't know what you don't know, right?
Mhm.
Um, so we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to further explore women in technology. We'll be right back. the live series Straight Off the Bat. Join us on Thursdays as we speak to individuals across multiple industries who will help you understand financial literacy and education. If you join us from YouTube, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and today we're discussing women in technology. So we have today Jayme. She is from SmartTerm Limited, as well as Rissa. She is from ANSA Bank. So we would have had discussions earlier about the spaces that are in and the impact that is being had within the banking as well as the educational sector. But I want to continue the conversation with Rissa about the challenges that you'll face in the tech space when it comes to being a woman, because the reality is, if you look around and then no one looks like you will feel awkward. So if you could mention, some of the challenges that you would have experienced.
Some of the challenges. Now, I know it, to be honest, I have not had any challenges where I currently work at ANSA Bank, but I would like to mention that something that stuck to me at the last BAT conference last week, Friday, where Raquel Moses, she gave a wonderful speech and she made us all aware that while I'm not seeing it where I am, that there is a gap. There is a gap in the banking industry where women are not being treated equally, whether it is they're getting equal opportunities or equal pay. The gap is still there. And something that she said really stuck to me, where we cannot bridge that gap, right? Or the gap would not be bridged only until 180 years. And that is what studies showed. 180 years it will take for us to bridge this gap between men and women in the working environment, in the workplace. And I think this is something that is very serious and that we need to have more conversations about, because until we work adamantly on bridging that gap, we wouldn't women would not be welcomed, or they wouldn't feel confident. They wouldn't feel confident in when they're applying for a role to confidently ask, as what Ms. Hoyte said earlier, to confidently ask for a particular salary, to be confident in themselves, to be assertive. And this is, to me, this is the biggest challenge right now.
I like the point where you spoke about, talking about pay, because I don't think it's something, I think it's nature versus nature conversation, because some things you say, okay, is it nature or is it because the anthropologist will tell you a lot of things are built around society. So we do things that are we consider normal because that's the reality. But the thing is, as women, I want to shift over to Jayme a bit in the educational space. What advice would you give to someone who faces these challenges? Because it's really hard when, even for me, I've been in this business for 14 years, and I realized after getting exposed to proposals from competing companies that I was undercutting myself by thousands, right? So when it comes to being, I guess, having some level of confidence in yourself, any advice on that, Jayme?
Yeah, I think if I had to touch on challenges as well, I would say like coming into the technology space, understanding some of the terminologies and the fancy words they would use, software engineer and all these different skills. Just understanding the landscape in terms of how you communicate, how you understand people in the space and how to communicate back to them. I think that has been a big challenge. And I think a solution to that would be like, educating yourself, developing yourself in that way, attending different workshops and training where you can really understand what is happening in the technology landscape. Another thing that is challenges for women in this space too is sometimes, that imposter syndrome, right? Because you are qualified, you are capable, you can do it, but sometimes when you get into this space and being a male dominated space and you're one of two women in that space, it can be a bit intimidating. It can be, that imposter syndrome will set in and you doubt yourself. So I would say just motivate yourself, try to elevate yourself again through the education and learning. I think that's the best way. Knowledge is the killer of uncertainty. And you'll be fine, you'll do well. You show up as your true self, and don't be afraid to speak out.
Yeah, education really is one of the best solutions for just about everything. I want to shout out to Kevin Pasquale to saying hi, Jay. I think Jay is Jamie.
Hi, Kevin.
You have a super five. All right, so we don't want this to just be a doom and gloom of all the things that aren't isn't possible. We want to talk about the opportunities, right? Because we have to be honest, and technology is giving us opportunities that didn't exist before. I actually live next to a highway and I see people sitting down in hours, like 2 hour traffic. And I am forever grateful that I am in a tech space, that I can roll out of my bed and come in front of a camera in my living room and have this conversation with you. So
Yes.
when it comes to, to opportunities, you want to share. I want you guys to share from the different industries, banking and education. So who wants to go first?
I can go first. I think it's amazing opportunity at this time for women to even, want to get into education, technology, in technology in general. You said it right. Working remote has its advantages, it has its perks. I'm a fan of working remote, so I'm happy about that. But in terms of women getting into the education technology space, I think they can take up some space in leadership and management, leading strategic initiative and driving innovation, promoting inclusivity and advocating for technology in education, not only the technology, but also advocating for other women to be a part of this industry. And then, there's research and innovation, which is a massive field. We're always looking for growth and development. Companies are always looking for that. And, women have the opportunity to conduct groundbreaking research and develop new approaches in learning and teaching. And lastly, I will say on the content side and curriculum development, there's always room for women to be a part of creating engaging digital content for diverse learners. Actually, I would say here that we are actually launching a new product, which is a content piece to our education management system called Tamarind Learning. And this platform is software that helps the schools, helps students for test prep. So things like CXC, SEA, CPA, PEP can all be done on the platform, and it prepares them for the exam. And being a woman in technology and also being in the business development side, I really get to see like the back end and get my hands dirty on that side. But yesterday, it was all hands on deck and I had to do some data entry. So, you have to be flexible in this field as well. You can be called at any time to assist where it's necessary.
You sound really exciting, and I definitely think we need to talk afterwards because
Yes.
I think there is a space for development and education in so many different parts of the tech space. Like content creation, for instance, and it would be
Yeah.
amazing to have a platform that you can easily set up on. So that sounds like a great opportunity. So
Yes.
you want to add to that, Rissa, in the banking space?
Well, every day in the IT and in the world of banking, things are evolving, and so is the job market. And I mean, there are many jobs in the banking sector currently, and the beauty is that women can now confidently apply for them for any job. And one of the things that you guys did mention earlier was working remotely. So I work 100% remotely, and you would not think that we're in the banking sector. And at the conference last week Friday, a lot of the women on my table, they do work remotely, and there is a hybrid situation that has been put in place in their companies, which is extremely beneficial to women, because I mean, in the household, women do a lot, right? We look after our kids. There's homework and hobbies and different activities, and being able to work remote and to have those remote jobs available to apply for, it gives us a good sense of balance in our life. And as I always say, years ago, you would not think that you can apply for a position in a bank and work in the comfort of your living room or in your home office.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that flexibility is something that is a cultural shift as well. We're still learning to process
Yes.
what does that mean and management of our time. But the reality is, when you love your job, you do what you have to do when when it needs to get done.
Yes.
So technology in the technology space allows that flexibility, which
Yeah.
we all in this live show have been afforded. So, ladies, you can do it. If we can do it, you can do it.
Yes.
So when it comes to technology, I, a lot of folks, I'm just laughing at the what I'm about to say because my mom has this idea of my daughter works on the computer. Oh, I need to get something fixed. Can you fix my computer? I'm like, no, I spend most of my time on a PowerPoint presentation. What do you mean? It's like, oh, my daughter spends she's always on Facebook. No, no, there's these different parts of technology. So I don't know if you experience that as well.
Definitely, there are different parts of technology, and in the education sector, ed tech sector, you can have, engineers, software engineers, UX, UI, designers. You can have front end designers, web designers, content creators. So there is a vast array of fields or different positions, women can fall into. A lot of times, we look at education as just, the academic side of things, but through being in the technology aspect of things and creating softwares and systems to impact education, you see that it's a whole wide ranging field that, women can get into. And then there must be some sort of harmony when it comes to the ecosystem of education, be it the government, be it schools, principals, teachers, administrators, students, and parents. There must be some type of harmony where the education ecosystem, and you can fall in any, on the spectrum there of anywhere you can fall as a woman working in tech.
Want to also add to the conversation with Rissa because within the data and reporting analyst, I can't imagine the conversations you've had to had within the space. So share with us.
Yes. So you see the importance of, when dealing with data, you see the importance of proper validation. You really have to sit down and think of all the things that could possibly go wrong when entering data, and be proactive with it. So, as you know, we would have had a conversation before this, ANSA Bank would have taken over from Bank of Baroda. So there was a whole exercise where we had to look at the data and manipulate it. So while it was challenging, I personally found it was something very exciting. I would stay up late just going through the data, checking to see what needs to be fixed, what we need to do in the new system. And yeah, so there is a lot of opportunity if it is that you don't want to go into specifically networking and whatnot. Data and reporting is it's very exciting. It's not, you're not just sitting down in front of a computer. You do have to have important meetings to discuss what are the next steps, what new reports you need to bring into the company. So it is exciting, even though it
Yeah,
doesn't sound like it.
I want no. I truly agree with you, Rissa, because I love data as well too, and it is a truly exciting feel. I think one of the most important thing for me in data is being able to use this raw information, this raw data, and make predictions. Be able to get insights to increase your sales or increase, to make some change and to make some impact. So I really love data as a study.
Yes.
This conversation just turned into full nerd. I love it. I think being a nerd is cool now, so it's fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I
it
tell
is.
my sons that.
All right, so we're gonna go on a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna continue the conversation around women in technology. We'll be right back. To Straight Off the Bat, a show that helps you understand financial literacy and education. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you're doing so from LinkedIn, don't forget to subscribe to our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. Today, we're talking about women in technology, and we're joined by the powerhouses. One, Jayme, she is from SmartTerm Limited, as well as Rissa, she is from ANSA Bank. So they're in two different spaces in terms of industry and positions, but I think there are a lot of synergies in terms of conversations around women in tech and the value that it means to just about all of us women. So if you're watching this right now live or you're watching this on the replay, a lot of people may be like, okay, I need to shift my career, which is an overwhelming decision for anybody. So when it comes to knowledge, and skill sets, there's a lot of things that people have to go search for education, for instance. So I want to start with Jayme as to, what skills and knowledge are most valuable to women who want to shift into the tech space.
So I would say, as a woman who wants to shift into the tech space, I will start off with leadership. You know, it's not on the tech side, but if you know how to govern yourself, if you know how to lead others and how to interact with people, I think there and then you can be placed in any industry, regardless of if it's technology or regardless of it's specifically to education or science or agriculture. Once you know how to, lead, you can be placed in any sector. Another skill set, I would say, for women to take into account is, just being interpersonal with people as well. Looking at how to how to navigate difficult conversations, how to, interact with people on a daily basis, I think is another skill set that, women going into any industry can have as well. Um, Apart from that, on the technology side of things, when it comes to education, there's a strain for talent in the Caribbean, and talent when it comes to, software engineering, UX, UI design engineers, product management. These are some of the fields that, women can get more education into. And it could be, various courses, certificate courses, workshops, training. But if you want to take a more formal education in terms of your degree and so forth, by all means, jump in and, get that degree, get your PhD, to really solidify yourself in the technology landscape.
I want to shift over to Rissa to find out, I don't know if you ever watched any episodes of Golden Girls. It's like, picture this, 1985. So we want to find out, why and how did you choose this space in this data space? Because it's a very specific part of technology, and some will be like, oh, it's data is boring. So where did this all begin?
I initially got into IT because of my sister. I had to decide what area of study I wanted to go into, and she had just completed her studies and had entered into the working world. And just hearing her conversations made me very excited about the field. When I first started my second job, my manager at the time, he put me in all the different departments of IT. So I had to do networking, PBX management, all of those things. And then I was able to go on a project which was for data and reporting and a lot of coding. And it was only when I was on that project, it really did excite me. I It really did fire something up inside of me, and I realized I was good at it. I it was something that I could see myself doing. And that is how I got into it, which is, I mean, it ties to what I said before. If anybody wants to come into the tech space, they really need to experience all the different areas and decide what you're good at, where your passion is.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you realize, okay, the data and reporting world is a little difficult, there are many different platforms that you can go. Microsoft has free
Yeah.
courses that you can do. There are a lot of training that you can do. And it brings me back to having a mentor. If you have someone and you tell them, I want my end game to be in data and reporting, that mentor is going to tell you all the steps on how to get to from point A to point B. So it's very important to have someone in a senior role, just to have someone to guide you accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Important to have cheerleaders, and sometimes it's extremely difficult if you're not surrounded by that. And I mean, this question is for someone out there listening, or maybe for me, I don't know. How do you um, go over the hurdle of this fear of asking? Because let's be honest, in our culture, we're like, just do it yourself, figure it out. I don't know if you also grew up this with your parents. It's like you walked a mile to school, I walked 10 miles to school, and I had to hold 2 buckets of water. So when it comes to actually asking for help, that's very difficult for a lot of us. Any advice into how you can push through that?
I would say always be sure of yourself and still ask.
Yeah.
Because if someone doesn't want to assist you, it shows their personality, it shows what is most important to them. So, which is why it's so important for you to find someone that you can look up to, you can get guidance from. And there's Google, and any person in IT will tell you there's Google. there's a page that will explain. There's a forum somewhere that someone somewhere in the world had that exact issue. It will be in a forum and a full discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, with the increase of usage of technology and all these options, you now have ability to reach out via the actual text.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. Do you have any examples, Jayme?
Now, I would say, like, in terms of reaching out to a mentor, so you really want to know what you want to do, as Rissa mentioned, which part of technology you want to impact, you want to add value to. And in reaching out to mentors, you research them, research and understand if they would align with your mission, right? In researching them, you try reaching out to them via LinkedIn, via email or so, and really be respectful in reaching out, respect their time as well, because sometimes these mentors are, leading so many different projects and teams, and their time is really, really valuable. So you have to be respectful of their time. You know, try reaching out again. What's the most they can say? Yes or no. If they say no, you move on. If they say yes, okay, you move forward, right? Yeah. So you reach out and you try to book different times and you discuss what it is you want to achieve and how it is this mentor can really help you to achieve that. Um, but yeah, I think that's basically what you can do in terms of reaching out to a mentor.
I feel like this is an opportunity for someone to create an app for mentors and mentees in the Caribbean. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Good idea. Mm-hmm.
It's so important, but sometimes people feel very timid or shy to reach out to somebody who's a multi-million dollar owner of a company. So creating an app would be really cool.
Guys, if you're out there and you decide to pursue the idea, just give me a mention. That's all. Uh,
10%.
so,
Or else he's
so
there.
do you guys know of any programs where women could pursue the space in terms of technology with education? Any specific programs that we could send people to?
In terms of programs, I think first and foremost, I really do think that we need to do a better job of, promoting STEM education in our schools, right? I think this is at the stage where, children are young, girls are young, and they're now figuring out and trying to see, what avenues is out there, what is possible to them. So I think, the Ministry of Education can, really put more STEM programs in schools. In terms of programs specifically, I know of Sarah Bernard, who runs the Smart Kids Educational Club for young children as well as teens. So, parents, you can check that out. So that's Smart Kids Educational Club. And then there's NEHUS as well, who offer, STEM education for children as well. I think they operate. They have a lot of summer programs, but they do operate STEM programs throughout the year as well. So you can check into those two programs as avenues to give your girl child a better option of getting into the technology space.
And I actually hosted an event with her once, and it was quite insightful.
Yeah.
While parents were asking her how to manage their children online, because that's a whole different style of parenting. Kudos to you, parents. Any additions for you, Rissa?
I would just say OJT. I started off that was my first job as an OJT in IT, and it really did add value to my work life.
And I will also add to that there are actually a lot of free certifications on Google Digital
Mhm.
Garage,
Yeah.
as well as if you're in the digital marketing space, which is content creation. No, it's not being an influencer. That's two different things. Every platform has its own educational space that you can learn about it. So, for instance, Facebook has one. So does MailChimp. So all of these are avenues for you to learn about a space that will help you be more flexible with your life. So we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to finish off the conversation around women in technology. We'll be right back. Straight off the bat, a show that helps you understand financial literacy and education. If you're joining us today from Facebook, don't forget to subscribe to our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. Today we're discussing women in technology, and we're joined by Jayme and Rissa. They are from SmartTerm and ANSA Bank, respectively. So we would have had quite an in-depth conversation around this experience in technology. And if you missed it, don't worry. Once this live is over, you can check it out on the replay. So we have spoken about different experiences across the educational and financial sector. If you'd missed it, Rissa mentioned being in rooms that usually wouldn't be occupied by women. Yes, I know these things happen. It's your reality. So at the end of the day, we do have an option to join this tech space and have the flexibility of working from home. It is life changing. I advise everyone to do it. So when it comes to being in this space, I would love to learn about a few key lessons that you guys would have experienced, because a lot of times we may have perceptions in the space, and then when you actually sit there and you're like, oh wait, I didn't expect this to happen. You want to share with us what that looks like?
Sure. So, for me personally, I would say one of the key lessons would be to always trust my gut. If it is that I am questioning something, speak up. Always trust your gut, and also know your worth. Be assertive. Be assertive when making certain decisions. Be sure of yourself and stand by it. Always stand by it. And even when you are entertaining a new job, again, know your worth. Ask for the salary that you think that you deserve, right? The level of knowledge that you know that you are bringing to the table, to the company. Ask for your salary, and everything should be okay.
Thank you for that, Rissa. You want to join the conversation on that and add to that?
Yes, totally agree with Rissa. I'd also add that collaboration drives success. You will be placed in teams, you will be placed to work with the opposite sex as well. Just approach those situations, from a collaborative standpoint. If I must say, in engage in this process and being a part of this interview, we had to have multiple touch points, and we're working with a full team of women who are doing an amazing job, I must say. We have Pauline, there's Paula, I see Carmen as well. So collaboration and teamwork plays a vital role in technology and women being able to operate in technology. Also embracing lifelong learning. I think I spoke about this earlier as well. Being able to say, yes, I do not understand this topic. I need some more, knowledge about it. Be willing to go out and take different courses, different workshops. We mentioned a couple here just a little while ago. Google, Amazon, all of these bigger companies have free courses, for women and men to be a part of and to develop their education. And one thing I will say, to our amazing and phenomenal women, leading wherever they are, and those who are coming into the technology space as well, is to be authentic and true to yourself. As Rissa mentioned too, if you have to speak up, to and advocate for yourself for a higher pay rate, or to say, a equal pay rate to your male counterpart, be able to open your mouth and speak on those type of hard discussions that, as women, we tend to shy away from.
Agreed.
Actually, quite interesting you mentioned the team. Shout out to them in the background. Because I did grow up with people telling me that women don't support women, we're always
Yes.
against each other, but I'm so grateful that has not been the experience with me. And, sometimes things, get difficult, and being able to have difficult discussions is a sign of the opportunity to grow, not just personally but within your professional career. So, yeah, we are proof of that. And Rissa would have mentioned earlier being able to have folks support her and put in positions where she's able to now pursue this world in the data space. So, we spoke about people who may be looking at changing their careers and what they can do. But what about companies who, they're hearing this diversity and inclusion conversation? Some people aren't a huge fan of it. Others are like, what is this? How can I be part of this discussion? So, do you guys have any advice for companies who may not necessarily, when you don't know, you don't know. You look around and all you see are men. What can a company do? What's the step that they can make to be more inclusive and supportive for women in
I
tech?
would I would personally say that companies need to have women in senior and leadership roles,
Yes.
specifically in the banking sector. And by doing so, that will then give any young girl the inspiration to pursue this path, right? As I said, I only considered going into the tech world because of my sister. I saw that she did it. I saw that she was doing it, and that gave me the push to think I can do it. And here I am now. So that's one of the things. They need to have a lot more women in senior roles so that we can then see it. I can give you an example. My department is digital transformation, and the majority of people in my department are, in fact, women. As a matter of fact, we only have two men in our department. We only have two men. And it is a good group of women. It is a good team, and we get things done, including the men. So, yeah.
Teamwork. That sounds like a fantastic example. So, what about you, Jamie? Because you'd be more in the educational and medium-sized business space.
Yeah, I do think organizations need to really have those discussions, have those tough conversations that nobody wants to discuss, things like underrepresentation. What does that look like for your company, for your organization? What solutions can you, provide to, you know, to have more representation. What does the gender pay gap looks like? How can we bridge that? How can we have more discussions around that, for women to feel more inclusive? When you look at retention and attrition rate too, you find sometimes women are leaving, the tech industry because it's too hard, it's too male dominant, and it's kind of a tough place for women to be at, but you want to create that space, create that environment, where women can share, and feel like they're not being judged for, speaking their truth, as well as not being labeled an emotional wreck or emotional type person, So I think these are some of the things that organization can really improve right now to assist women navigating the tech space.
Whew, you hit me, you really triggered me there when you talk about emotional thing because we, that is that is such an important discussion. When we talk about being a woman and the difference in how we are treated. For those women who are in the tech space and feel as you were mentioning, sometimes we are the highest ones to leave. What advice would you give to that person who feels as though it's like, I'm not seeing the support, I don't feel like this is gonna work out? What's the point even? Any advice for that person? We'll start with Rissa.
There's a thing we say in Trinidad, your neighbor's string isn't buried there.
Mhm.
Right?
Correct.
So I would say, and Rissa mentioned it too, look at the different fees, look at the different things in tech that you want to be a part and understand where you can add value the most. And, if it's not working out at this particular organization for a particular reason, feel free to send out more resumes, feel free to get into a space and a place where you would feel more valued and, where you can add more value to that organization.
Agreed. And when you are going to a company, if it is that you're going for an interview, you have to remember that you are also interviewing this company, not
Yeah.
just the company interviewing you. And you can ask the specific questions. What is your percentage of women employed in the company? What is the percentage at ANSA Bank? We have 65% of our staff are women. They are women. So, and a lot of them are in senior positions. Our MD is a woman. Our head
Right.
of operations is a woman, right? And so you need to go where you will feel more comfortable and that you can see yourself growing, because it's clear if you see things like that in a company, women are not being oppressed. Yeah. So these are the things that you have to look at. A lot of people think that, okay, I really want this job. Let me be quiet. Let me just get in. And then you
Yeah.
get when you're unhappy. You're
Mm-hmm.
really unhappy. So you need to interview the company also. Be
Yeah.
assertive. Be sure of yourself. You know you are bringing value. Be sure of yourself.
Awesome.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I would also add to that, we're now in a space where the world is getting so much smaller. So a lot of international companies are employing internationally. So you can look at, platforms like LinkedIn to see jobs that are remote
Mm-hmm.
working. So these are options for women out there, especially when you are managing and balancing so many things in the world. It's very difficult. So I want to thank you so much, Risha and Jayme, for joining us today and sharing insight into women in technology. This has been a robust conversation, and if you missed any of it, don't forget you can actually check it out on the replay once the live is over. As always, be sure to follow and like our page on LinkedIn as well as Facebook so you don't miss a single live show. Thank you so much again for joining us, and I'll see you soon. Bye.